What I realized is that if you can't measure it, you can't scale it. So for me, it's.
You found the Live Local Marketing Podcast, where business owners share their knowledge about what's working in the market today. Today, we have Anastasia. Ma'am, how are we feeling today?
Feeling wonderful. Thank you. Good morning.
Morning. All right, so we'll do a little bit about you and then hop right into the questions. So Anastasia is the founder of SmartScaled. She helps companies turn marketing into measurable revenue by acting as an embedded growth partner, meaning she doesn't just give away strategy, she builds the systems that and actually execute it. If your pipeline feels inconsistent or your data isn't telling you what actually is driving your revenue, that's exactly what she fixes. Ma'am, are we ready for questions?
Thank you. That's a great intro.
Is it? All right. Let's talk to the audience about your first win as an entrepreneur.
Okay, sure. So I think my first win, it wasn't a campaign necessarily. It was the data. What I realized is that if you can't measure it, you can't scale it. So for me, it's always, that's my philosophy moving forward, because what I realized is that you can run many campaigns, but if you don't have all the buyer's journey mapped out, you can't see the data, you can't predict who the ideal customer really truly is.
So what are some of your favorite clients then? So what are people like you get super excited? Like, this is the client. I love working with these people. You love working with all of them, but specifically, let's choose a favorite child.
Okay. Favorite child. I like working with companies that have software products and they're trying to push software, products to the market. I love it because I get to work with the product team and the sales team and the marketing team. So this is where I really see a lot of synergy happening. And that really lets me know that they know their customer, that the features they created, they solve the pain points, that the market is there. Now we just need to narrow down on the perfect fit. What pain point does it solve? And really help out the customer, because at the end of the day, you really want your customers to stay with you for a long time. You don't want that high churn rate.
It seems like you're really good at seeing the whole picture, whereas lots of businesses get stuck in their silos. They get stuck in like the one thing they do, but it seems like you're able to step in and kind of pull different areas. Am I getting that feeling right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I come in as an embedded partner, because I really get to know the teams that are trying to solve a particular pain point for the customer. So getting to know the product team and seeing, where there are silos, maybe they're getting some information from the customer on the back end that are, feedback through feedback surveys that marketing isn't aware of, that we can share and, make better advertising or make better educational or promotional videos. That's really what I think creates the best experience and the best customer.
All right. So you talked about promotion just now. Let's get into promotion. So let's talk about like the budgeting side of it though, because lots of businesses really get intimidated by the budgeting side. Like, where should I be spending my money? How do I decide this? What am I doing with it? So when you sit down with them, how do you help them decide where their budgeting money should go to help them promote their business?
I do a full funnel audit. So I really look and dig into the data. I figure out, thus far, if they have data, right? There are some clients that come to me that have a brand new product. And at that point, we start by testing the market. So if they have the data, I look at the data and I make sure that I understand who their ideal customer profile is, or what their ideal customer profile is, and marry that up to the closed won deals they've had so far in the pipeline. And the buyer's journey, map that out, figure out how long the client or the prospect stays in each stage, what really makes them feel confident and gets rid of any doubt that this product will help them.
Oh, that sounds like it takes a little bit of time. So what is usually the time frame for this? Are you like waiting on this for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 months? Like, what is usual, like, hey, I need to collect X amount of days of data?
Usually it just depends on how large the company is. But let's say it's one product or one service. It could take me anywhere between 3 days to 3 to 4 weeks. Just again, depending on how large, how many leads or records do you currently have in your CRM? How many campaigns have you run so far? Because I'm reaching for all of that data. So smaller companies, if you have 20,000 records right now in your CRM, that might be much faster, 3 days. If you have over 100,000 and you have, 70, 80, 90, or hundreds of campaigns, that may take a couple of weeks.
Yeah. All right. So do you have any favorite uses of AI to help you kind of collect and funnel that kind of information? Because that's a lot to take in.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I leverage AI. The companies I work with leverage AI. I mean, AI is great for decision intelligence and understanding signals that come from, your customers, when they visit your pricing page or product page, and you need to do some research before you reach out to that prospect. Let's say it's a cold prospect and they're showing signals or they're showing intent. AI is really going to be helpful there. Auditing campaigns, AI giving you synopses and summaries and pulling the numbers that you need to look at.
Or do you have a favorite go-to as far as the AI space, or are you using a couple of different ones for different reasons?
A couple of different ones, different reasons. It really just depends on the level, the size of the company, and the level of work that a company really needs. What I find is that when I come in to do an audit, not always, but a lot of the time, I see an over-engineered system where there are a lot of plugins and there are a lot of disparate systems and operations and processes. So I come in and I try to combine them all and pick up the ones that aren't really being leveraged or used, and kind of, making the audit, breaking it down into layman's terms to really showcase that, we have all this great resources. Let's figure out how to leverage them together.
So do you ever get any pushback from them? So like, hey, listen, I'm going to make this simple for you, but they're like, oh, we love the bells and the whistles and this and does that. How do you have that conversation with them? Like, hey, you need to simplify. Like, how do you get this smaller? How do you talk to them about that? A quick break before we get to that next answer, because I know that answer is going to be brilliant, which is why I chose this moment to interrupt. If you love what you're seeing and you want to run your business off of warm marketing referrals, visit our website, livelocalwarmmarketing.com. It's got valuable resources, office hours, memberships, the book, an array of resources to help you get rid of cold calls, cold leads, door knocking, and run a business you can be proud of through referrals and warm marketing. Now, back to the show.
I think when you tie it to revenue, it makes sense for any business owner. You just have to point out to them that this is your win rate. This is actually what's driving your revenue, not just conversions from warm leads, not just traffic from cold leads, but this is what's driving your conversion. So how can we accelerate that and make this process so simple that anyone from anywhere can plug in and follow the process, and it will lead them to success?
That's really good. All right. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about cold leads and warm leads. We're going to start with cold leads. What are some specific strategies you're using right now in the cold space that are working really well? And then we'll move on to warm.
Okay. I would say decision intelligence for the cold leads. It's a necessary evil. Nobody likes them. Nobody likes getting them. I know sales doesn't like it. BDRs don't like it. It's their job, but they don't like it. Cold calling is not fun. So I think having that layer of AI intelligence is really, really helpful, because you can understand everything about the company, any recent changes, it goes beyond just looking at LinkedIn and, just kind of seeing who's in that position. But it goes into, what press is out there, who their competitors are, what they're really understanding their pain point, and understanding how long is their buying decision, how many people are actually involved. So having all that information in your kind of artillery, I can't say that word.
No, it's all right. We got you.
So I think that's good ammo to have, before getting on an actual call.
So it sounds like it's not so much the specific cold strategy. It's like having a plan of how you're going to track it to make sure it's working is really where you step in and help people so they're not wasting time door knocking if it's not going to work, and cold calls if it's not going to work. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You
Yeah,
create your target accounts from your ideal customer
makes sense.
profile, and you use that AI and you leverage it, and you know that you're going after somebody who you want to have as a customer.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so with all this information and data analytics, we got to do warm marketing too, though, because that is the fun part. Nobody likes doing cold. People love doing warm marketing. What kind of strategies are you using for the warm marketing side of it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a favorite for sales, and they're
Yes.
lucky today because I want to say, 2 decades ago, marketing wasn't as plugged in. So now marketing is really plugged in, and the marketing does a lot before that lead even becomes a marketing,
Mm,
what they would call a marketing qualified lead. So there
got it.
are nurtures and campaigns that lead goes through. It's warm now. That's what we call a marketing qualified lead, a nice warm lead. We know that it fits our ICP. We know that they have intent, that they've looked at, our pricing pages or reached out or, used some kind of free calculator or free educational materials and resources or tools. And so now when sales get them, it's so much easier for them to demo the product or demo the
Yeah.
service and convert that lead.
You sound like somebody who does a lot of A/B testing.
Yeah,
Is that pretty good?
absolutely. I
You're like,
literally,
let's try this and see if it works. Let's try that, see if it works. That sounds like right up your alley there.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's tedious, but someone has to do it because you come
Yeah.
in, you don't have the data, and you're just coming in and you're trying to market your product, and you're running beautiful content and pieces and
Yeah.
ads, and you're creating all of this, but you're not actually testing the messaging, you're not testing the headlines, you're not testing the image types. You don't really know your audience. Is it your millennials? Is it your Gen Z? Like,
Yeah.
who's really my audience? And Amazon does this really well. They understand their buyers' signals and intent before they even, you
Yeah.
know, they understand what you left in the cart. They know how to serve you up the right product or comparatives for that product. You think of Nike, you don't think of shoes, you think of athletes. So that's exactly what a successful way to convert leads would be.
Yeah. Yep. That's the Atomic Habits. If you ever read that book, he starts the book and talks about how they used like purchasing, not even like Amazon's got unlimited data, but he was using back 20 years ago just purchasing habits to predict purchases. Like he didn't even have access to all the unlimited information that Amazon has. So it always fascinates me. It's always
Yes.
fascinating. All right. So part of the cold part, you did mention video marketing, which I love talking about video marketing. So what strategies are we using? And I know you're probably collecting A/B tests. You're probably doing all the data, but how do you kind of give them a head start? Like where should we start with our video marketing?
I think video builds trust and credibility.
Us.
I know many organizations, when I come in, they think it needs to be professional, polished production, but
Nope.
yep, it doesn't. It just has to build trust. You take your best product manager that demos the product all the time, or somebody who sits on the implementation team who really understands the product, understands the features, understands the competitive landscape, and demos that product, and it builds trust, and it helps the buyer understand that there's really no doubt. It eliminates that doubt that product may not be a fit.
So how many videos are you having to make? I'm sure your answer is going to be depends, but really, what is your rule of thumb? Should we make it be 1 a day, 3 a week, 5 a week? Like what is a good starting place to get enough data to know if it's working or not?
So when you say videos, there are several buckets. There are educational videos, there are
Good.
promotional videos, there are webinars. Personally, I love webinars. I think that's
Awesome.
a one-to-many sale. So I really feel like, if you're a salesperson, you know your stuff, you know your product, you're not, the platform isn't too complicated. Maybe, you understand your customer's pain point. I mean, you talk to them every day. I think that you should be doing at least one webinar per week, or you have that webinar, you pre-record it and you kind of have it as on demand, accessible, and have marketing set up some kind of funnel. And you just have that on demand webinar pop up and have people register and share that webinar when you're creating your one-to-one, emails.
That's awesome. So all right, when you're talking about webinars, so there's lots of different topics, a lot of different things we could do with these webinars and these funnels, but they probably want to bring in their brand. I'm assuming that's the thing that makes the sale. So how do you help them figure out what their brand story should be? Use the data.
I mean, absolutely use the data, but also I think understand your customers' pain points.
Got it.
We all
Good.
have them. They're very real in this world, and I wouldn't mind paying, some a software to help me, like Synthesia, for example, Synthesia, to have me talk in front of it. Maybe I don't really like public speaking, but it solves that pain point for me, and I record myself talking, and now I have great videos to train my staff or something like that. So it's just really, I think, understanding their pain point. And if you're good at that, I think you can be great at talking to anybody.
So when you get a business that says, hey, this is our brand, this is our story, and then you start collecting data and information, you're like, I don't think it is. I think your story, your brand is something else. Have you come across that? And then how do you talk them through that kind of pivot?
That's a hard one. That's always a hard one, because usually the brand is created by the founder. The founder has that vision. I will say that I think what when I come in, what I've seen is not that necessarily the vision is wrong because of the data, but I see that vision isn't being shouted from the mountaintops. Like the founder has it in his head, but no one else really has that clear picture. So they are kind of spinning their own version of it. I think sometimes it becomes too rigid. I think sometimes it needs to be a little more relaxed and kind of allowing it to take its own shape. Again, marrying it. I mean, Netflix started with the Red Box, rent a movie, and now it's turned into a streaming service. So it's really just being flexible enough to have that vision adapt to the needs of your market.
In that same vein, have you ever come across and started gathering data and saying, hey, listen, I think there's a target segment of people that we're completely missing that you really should do some content and do some things for them?
Absolutely. Yeah, almost always. And it just comes down to, again, you're getting all these cold marketing leads, all these prospects, but do you actually have several nurture funnels? Do you actually understand what product, if you have multiple services or multiple products, fits that prospect? And are you nurturing them, throughout their journey, their buying journey, with the right intent?
That's really where you would help businesses, and invaluable resource for businesses right there.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been talking about data this whole time. We're talking about A/B testing, all the different things. So when I say useful data, what does that mean to you? Because there's so much different styles of data. There's so much information, but someone's got to hit home better than others. Talk to us about that.
Yes, I think when I look at useful data, I look at the process of the buyer's journey. So if I'm seeing prospects, fall out at earlier stages, and there's a lot of close lost, leadership would look at sales and think, you're failing. Why are you close losing all of these deals? But really what's happening is that you're driving unqualified traffic, but you don't really have a process set up to disqualify that traffic early on in the stage. So it's good we have pipeline coming in. We're building the pipeline, but we don't have that warm lead to convert. So now we're trying to figure out where's the misalignment before that. So then I look at the data from the audit, like what kind of campaigns are out there? What kind of nurtures are there? Are we speaking to the right customer? Because that customer or that prospect may be showing intent, but is it somebody, like when you're dating, you kind of have a picture of who you want to date, but then you start talking to them. Do you actually want to date them? You're qualifying them now. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. So do you also help with like the funnels and create the copyright, or do you have like resources like, hey, this is your person, this is how we disqualify them, this is how we do all the things? Do you go in there and do all the writing and stuff, or do you have like a team, or how does that usually work?
I have a team. I'd have a team. I bring in a team, and I will bring in ad hoc help depending on, what the business needs are. again, I come in as an embedded partner. So I'm not just there giving the strategy. The strategy is great, but I'm also there optimizing, implementing, and aligning deliverables, not just creating more noise, more activity, and talking about vanity metrics, but I'm taking all of those and I'm aligning them to one value stream so that the team sees success.
That is awesome. All right. So it's as boring as it is. I think data is boring. It is so essential. We probably could talk data for the next 10, 15 minutes, but we're not going to. We're going to get right to your business. It's amazing like how just you can help a business like see their path and what they're actually doing and help clarify it for them. And I'm sure that saves them tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes. And then creating this second resource of people like, hey, you're forgetting about this target segment. That right there is worth every penny. So talk to us about your business and then where people can get a hold of you to set up a time to come talk their business with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So founder of SmartScaled with an ED at the end, SmartScaled. And we're a marketing and revenue operations company. I help people generate revenue, understand their pipeline, not just more marketing activities. I come in as an embedded partner. You can book a meeting with me or a consultation for free through my website, smartscaled.com. I have an amazing team, an amazing client operations specialist who will make sure that you completely understand the process of the audit, because initially that's what I start with is an audit. Mm-hmm. I want to understand, your business structure, your organization structure. I want to understand your customer, and I want to understand your goals if you already have them.
That is amazing. All right. So make sure you set up a time. It helps clarify because I'm sure we're all running around, we're all hustling. But if we knew where we're going a little bit better with Anastasia's help, it would just save so much time and money. So, man, we appreciate your time and your help and your knowledge today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And if authentic, practical marketing resonates with you, be sure to visit livelocalwarmmarketing.com and learn to grow your business on warm marketing referrals.